This is Glenn Pendlay with the Weightlifting Scoop podcast from down in Australia.
Travis Cooper here, and we got James again. James Sell, that's your last name, right?
Yeah. Hey, mate, how you going?
What did you just say?
I said, how you going?
Yeah. So that's one of the differences here. They say, how are you going? It's really confusing.
They also call you mate.
Yeah. We're not banging.
Settle down, Travis.
No, I was just kidding. No, it's been good here.
Yeah. It's always fun. One of the nice things about coming to Australia is that the language is somewhat different here. And there's always something that the Australians say that seems a little funny when we are used to the U.S. way of saying things. And one of the things that everybody says is, "How are you going?" I've probably heard Tily say, "How are you going?" to someone on the phone about 1,000 times in the last week and a half. And in the U.S., we just say, "How are you doing?" They want to know where you're going.
Yeah, so we say how is it going, or what's going on, or how are you doing? But how are you going is a little different. So I think I've got it stuck in my head at this point. So I'm going to be,
especially when it's always, "How are you going, mate?" I know if you had substituted a U.S. word for that, like friend or dude, it would be like, "How are you going, friend?" We wouldn't even say that. We'd just say, "How are you doing?" But you guys add mate to the end of it, which is sort of funny.
So Ben just got a call. That's good news. That means Muscle Driver's getting orders. So that's always a good thing. Yeah,
we couldn't sit around here doing this podcast if they weren't getting orders and making some money. So it's always good.
Yeah. So there are a few other differences. So what we call the trunk, they call the boot. So like the trunk of a car.
Yeah, I think that's English, James.
I think so.
Do all Australians say that, or only English Australians?
All Australians say
the boot. What do you do when you have a car that has an engine in the back? Do you still call the back the boot?
Yeah.
That seems weird.
What do you guys call the bed of a truck, like the back of a truck? I heard a word for that was a little different from Ben, but you know what I'm talking about?
What, a truck or like a ute?
A truck.
Tray? A tray.
A tray.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. We would call that the bed of the truck, or was there another word?
The bed.
The bed.
Yeah.
That does exist here. We do have flatbed trucks.
Well, we're not talking about a flatbed.
Even just a regular truck, we'd call it the bed of the truck.
Like your truck, the Nissan.
That's a ute.
Well, the reason why
your truck's not a ute.
Your truck's not a ute.
That's not a ute.
Over here, that would be called a ute.
No, but that still would be wrong. That's a truck.
And that one is called a tub. We would call that a tub.
Well, it's not a tub. It's a bed. And your truck is a truck.
Well, the reason why it's called a flatbed truck is because regular trucks have a bed, and a flatbed is a flat version of the bed. So that's where flatbed comes from.
Yeah, you really need to change that.
I'll get onto it.
It's not a bowl.
Now, Glenn, you're saying that I'm not talking about all this stuff to say that we're right. I'm just talking about that
Travis,
stuff
I firmly
for
believe we're right.
interesting conversation.
Interesting conversations about the things that Americans are right on.
But they do have these cars called Utes. They're basically like newer versions of El Caminos.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that because I think El Caminos are cool as shit. And these are like little mini El Caminos, which I don't think are very cool. What do you think about that, Ben? What are your opinions on the Australian ute?
You just got to tread lightly here because you could upset the whole Australian community with your views on the ute. You know, just be careful because we've still got seminars to run. You know, I want to sell some bumper plates at some point. You know.
Well, I don't know. You know, it's okay that I have my own opinion on the ute. It just doesn't look cool. The ute.
You're digging me a grave. Oh. No, the ute is, it's like it's an Australian icon. You can't go, it's like me going over to, going to America and going to Mount Rushmore and saying, well, that was kind of rubbish. You know, you just gotta be.
Well, I've never seen Mount Rushmore, but I wonder, could they make the Ute in like a full-size model?
Yeah, that's what James's car is.
No, that's a truck. That's a Nissan truck. I mean, they sell those in America. We don't have Utes in America.
Are you talking about a Nissan?
A Nissan, yeah.
Nissan.
A Nissan truck.
Oh yeah. Also, we saw the big banana on the way back
Not Benson.
on the Gold Coast Highway. So, what do you think about that, Ben?
I love the way you say banana. It's so violent.
Say here's
And
what.
go, well, I gotta eat my banana right now.
So that's what Ben hears every time we say banana.
But we don't say
He
it like
says-
that. We just
I
say,
think you say it the best, Glenn.
we say it banana.
You're-
And then you say, banana!
Banana.
That's two totally separate things. Every time we say anything about a banana, then he repeats us and says it, banana, like that. And then says that we say it weird, and it's just not true. Evidently over here they say banana. Now if I wanted to make fun of them, I could say, banana! Like that. Which is basically what he's doing to us. But it wouldn't be any more right than he is. It's just crazy.
I reckon you could.
Yeah, I reckon.
No, so I reckon in the U.S. it's a pretty southern thing. Like people definitely do say that, but it's more like with a southern accent. Like I reckon I'm gonna go down yonder, something like that.
Yeah, Ben, and I think a lot of Australians say I reckon many, many times throughout the day. They pretty much anything that they're going to do, they reckon they're going to do it. Or anything they have done, they reckon they did that.
I reckon that's about right.
You reckon that's about right? Yeah, exactly. It's a constant saying over here.
So tomato.
It's actually a tomato.
It's actually tomato.
Actually, it is kind of hard because they don't really put ketchup on a lot of things. So if you order French fries or chips, as they call them here, then you have to ask for tomato sauce, and then it becomes a battle. They're like, "Oh, tomato sauce," and you're like, "No, ketchup." And then the lady's like, "Tomato sauce," and then you're like, "Sure, tomato sauce." And then she's like, "Tomato sauce, okay."
and not all their ketchup/tomato sauce is the same. Like in the U.S., you can pretty much, if you order ketchup, it's going to be ketchup. But here we went and we had the world's best hamburger, as claimed by the restaurant that we ate it at. And we got tomato sauce. And Travis, how close was that tomato sauce to actual ketchup?
That was not proper tomato sauce.
I think what it was proper tomato sauce because it was tomatoes. It wasn't some heavily processed. It was literally just tomatoes made into a sauce.
Oh, I know. I'm just, but moving on to the next one. So proper, you guys would use proper, like if you had like a really hard workout or something like that, would you say that was a proper workout?
I don't know if I'd say it was a proper workout. I'd say that I properly worked out.
All right, well,
we're splitting hairs now. We are splitting hairs.
And that's just Ben. Australia doesn't say that. I don't know where that's coming from.
So the big banana, that would be a proper banana, right?
Yes. Ben's laughing too hard to answer, so I'll say yes, that's a proper banana.
Well, I mean, if something's like really big or like really good, they would use the word proper as like.
Well, if it's the real thing,
an
if
adjective.
it's the real thing, like that coffee that I made for you the other morning, the instant coffee.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to go outside and get myself a proper coffee.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
coffee I made with that instant granules. I can't. Yeah, we went out and got some proper coffee like that.
He said he felt like somebody just took a shit in his mouth.
It was that good.
But I mean, I have to admit, I actually like that instant coffee just because I haven't had a regular cup of drip coffee in a long time or French press.
You haven't had a regular proper coffee. in a long
So
time.
yeah, I haven't had the coffee in a while. So the instant coffee actually tasted closer to what I was used to. So it was pretty good. And speaking of French press, here's one of the funniest ones to me is that, so I was talking about French press coffee and Ben had no idea what I was talking about, so he replied with, so I tried to describe what I was talking about, and what did you call it?
What it's called, plunger coffee.
What is that again?
It's called plunger coffee because, that's what it's called.
Yeah,
Yeah, personally, I don't want the word plunger associated with anything that I'm about to drink.
So I'm thinking that plunger coffee is going to taste like somebody took a shit in my mouth because my association with plunger is strictly when somebody clogs up a toilet, they're going to use the plunger. So anyways, we've had a good time just kind of, messing around with each other, giving each other shit about the differences. But to be honest, there's really only minor differences in culture between Australia and the U.S.
You were watching college football on the telly the other day.
Yeah, I was watching North Carolina versus South Carolina, a great football game, and I don't even have cable back home, so that was actually a lot of fun to watch. So who would have thought I'd be sitting in Australia catching up on my college football? But yeah, so we went up since the last podcast, we've done some pretty cool things. We walked up the Harbor Bridge. So the Harbor Bridge is the one that overlooks the Opera House.
It's one of the huge landmarks of Australia. If ever you see a postcard, someone sends you a postcard from Australia, it's probably going to have the Harbour Bridge on it. And you go out on some, you walk underneath it first of all, and then you come up and you walk up the big arch and you end up all the way at the top. It's about a 2.5 kilometer, maybe 3 kilometer round trip. What did it take us? 3 hours by the time all was said and done?
Yeah, it's basically a 3-hour walk. But it was really cool. We had a what would you call her? The group leader,
She was British.
But what would you just call her? The group leader, the one who was
Tour guide.
the tour guide. Yeah, tour guide's a better term for that. So she was in charge, and there's actually something funny. So Simone was on her way down, and there was like this little hook on the belt that we had, and it got stuck on something on the bridge, and so she couldn't move. She was like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck. And so the tour guide was like, what's wrong with her? And I was like, well, her little hook got stuck on the bridge. She was like, oh, those little hooks, those are cheeky little rascals. I thought that was funny, but I guess that's more of like a British thing. So when we were on top of the bridge, I was talking to her, and she was like, well, what do you think of the view? And I was like, yeah, this is an awesome view. We don't have anything like this in Atlanta. We don't have a lot of water or anything like with this kind of view. And she goes, yeah, but you guys have Honey Boo Boo.
I'm from America, but I've never watched Honey Boo Boo.
Well,
I hardly know who that is.
Yeah, I was like, great, that's the one thing that Atlanta is known for now is Honey Boo Boo. Screw that we hosted the Olympics, or it's a great city, but Honey Boo Boo is where it's at, I guess,
That's how everyone around the world knows Atlanta.
Yeah, we're now the laughing stock with the little redneck hoodlum. Honey Boo Boo.
Hoodlum. Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah, so that's just a nutshell of the differences that we found over the past week, and we've had a good time with that. And so I finally had Kangaroo Meat. We were on the Gold Coast and stopped in a restaurant, and I got a kangaroo fillet, and it was damn good.
Yeah, I had kangaroo last time I was here, and I liked it too. Although we cooked it ourselves, I believe, in our motel room. I don't think it was quite as good as yours looked. Yours just looked good. I was really considering asking you for a bite, but then I thought, I'd go ahead and let you have it because it did look good. You probably wouldn't have given it to me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that was good. I thought about giving you a piece if you'd never had kangaroo before, but I said, hey, Glenn, have you ever had kangaroo before? And he said, yeah, I had it last time. So then I didn't offer, but.
Yeah, well, screw you. That looked pretty good.
And it's extremely healthy. I guess it's a very lean cut of meat. So,
I had a dish. Yeah. Okay. Done with the kangaroo, Travis. I had a dish that I ordered because I was really craving like red sauce, like tomato sauce or marinara or whatever. And the name of the dish was marinara. I mean, that was the name. Nothing else. Just it was on the menu. It said marinara. And then it, had noodles and some seafood in it and stuff like that. And when it came out, the dish had like a white sauce. There was no marinara. How in the world, Ben, do you name a dish marinara and it comes out in like a lemony white sauce with ground chili peppers enough that it was very hot, but no marinara sauce?
I don't know, but I was as outraged as you were, and I'm gonna add it to my list of emails to send to the powers that be, because there's a number of things we've got to change. We're all driving on the wrong side of the road, apparently. I'll get them to sort that out as well. There's numerous things that you've pointed out that we're doing wrong. So.
Yeah. Well, I hope you get that wrong side of the road thing sorted out, and a new law that says if you call a dish marinara, it's got to have marinara sauce in it. I will say though that it had prawns, sea scallops, some lobster, I think.
It's one of my favorite things. The Balmain bugs. They're like a small lobster. They are very, very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, they were really good. And actually, it was a heck of a pasta. It just wasn't marinara sauce, but it was quite good anyway. So that was definitely a success.
Well, my favorite part of that meal was not only did I eat kangaroo, but we had a waitress, and she was really nice to us at first, because she saw Ben was wearing a CrossFit shirt, and I guess, I don't know, me or Glenn might have been wearing some kind of CrossFit shirt that had bumper plates on or something. And she's like, "Oh, do you guys CrossFit?" And then Ben was trying to be funny, and he said, "Yeah, sometimes I pretend to do CrossFit," which obviously he does. He owns a CrossFit, for God's sakes. But after Ben said that, I swear the waitress was...
She gave us a cold shoulder.
She didn't even bring us our food after that. She came back she was like, "Oh, you need a refill." She didn't even bring us the check. She had other people bringing us up. It was crazy.
Yeah, she was all over it when she thought we CrossFitted. But we certainly shot ourselves in the foot when Ben gave her that answer, and the rest of the meal was...
I told him he should have said that he was Rich Froning, and we'd have got a good service, but...
we probably would have got freebies or something. I don't know. She was all into that CrossFit.
But yeah, I mean, actually, so the CrossFit population here is getting bigger. Obviously, that was just a we were on the beach, regular waitress who was doing CrossFit, so.
Yeah, there were a number of interesting people there too. It was, about 8 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
Ben kept pointing out to us which girl was, as he called it, getting loose. What he meant was, getting intoxicated. And there were a couple in the bar. There were some older gentlemen with gold chains on, whatever, that were taking advantage of the situation, I think. But it was a fun place to be in.
They were
and a good meal.
I mean, it was on the beach, so in the morning we went on the beach, and it was awesome. I mean, the water was so clear, and Glenn keeps saying motel, so. I mean, we're staying in an extremely nice hotel. It was a Hilton. Yeah. And he just uses that term to describe a place to stay.
I don't even distinguish. I just say motel. But the hotel was actually pretty damn awesome. It was a Hilton.
Oh, it was ridiculous.
It was like 35 stories, and it was pretty damn fancy looking. We also had
we were on the 25th floor looking over the beach. I mean, it was an awesome.
That was pretty cool. We also had a valet take our car. That might be the first hotel I've ever stayed in that had valet service.
Wow.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Believe me, it's quite believable. But it was a nice place. It was a very nice place.
If you were going to stay at one place, where would you stay, Glenn? What's your favorite hotel or motel?
The New Yorker in Manhattan.
Oh, geez. I thought you were going to say Motel 6.
No, I think the neatest place I've ever stayed is the New Yorker Hotel. It's got small rooms because it was built in the 1700s or something like that. It wasn't, not really. It was built quite a long time ago, so it's got small rooms. But it's a neat place. But other than that, sure, Motel 6.
Okay. So sometimes they have two TVs that were made in 1982 instead of one, and that really
that's a win when you get that.
Puts it over the top.
Yeah, 2 TVs. Imagine that.
What'd you say, Ben?
I said that should be cray.
Yeah.
2 TVs.
That cracks me up. So they like a lot of rap here, and say what you said earlier.
What did I say? Ben balls so hard that motherfuckers want to find him.
See, none of this means anything to me because I don't know the songs that it came out on, but these guys repeat phrases and words from old rap songs, evidently, or new rap
accent,
songs.
nonetheless, and it sounds freaking awesome. It cracks me up. Like, yeah, it's great. What was the song? Everybody in the club getting tipsy. That was on Ben's iPod. I guess that's getting popular here now.
Driving back from the Gold Coast was like a 10-hour drive or something. And basically he forced me to listen to Eminem the whole time back. I mean, literally the whole time we were driving back. If not the whole time, then at least 9/10 of the time, at least. So I've now heard for the first time every single song that Eminem has ever made. I can't say I'm a better person for it, but I've heard it.
There's this one song that talks about putting a gerbil up your asshole with a tube, and how the gerbil's playing around, like with his prostate, and it feels so good.
The look on Glenn's face as we were driving back, you and I were dying.
Glenn's like, "How is this music?" And there's this one song that's like, "I'm gonna kick it."
You gonna do it?
I'm gonna kick a chick in the cunt so hard that she queefs and it sounds like a whoopee cushion. I don't know the exact wording, but Jesus, man, that's some serious lyrics right there.
Glenn's head nearly exploded, I think.
Glenn was freaking out. It almost became a joke. We just put on like the worst songs that you possibly could. And Glenn was like, "How is this music?" And I said, "Whether you want to call this music or not, it's damn creative. I mean, there's nothing about a gerbil playing with your prostate in any other song. I mean, that's pretty creative. It may not be music, but
I don't even want to talk about that.
he's pleading the fifth. So we went to Gold Coast weightlifting after our seminar in Brisbane. What was the place in Brisbane we went to? It was Cougars weightlifting.
Cougars weightlifting.
And is that it's in Queensland?
Yeah, it's at a place, the Sleeman Sports Centre. The Sleeman Sports Centre. I think it's Chandler, or I think the suburb might be Sleeman. I don't know. It's a little bit it's pretty close to Brisbane. It's not that far away. It's like a whole there's like a cycle track there, and I think there's a pool, and there's all sorts. It's a pretty big setup.
I mean, it's a great training hall though, and so that's where Damon Kelly trains. Is that right?
Yep.
So he's a multiple Olympian and has represented Australia at the World Championships. He's a super. He's a really good lifter. So that's where he lifts, and that's probably the biggest weightlifting club in Australia. You said, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
So it was pretty cool to host.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the lifters there named Luke. I don't know what his last name is offhand. Lucas Gardner. Okay. But he said they have like 120 people training there.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of them are beginners or crossovers from CrossFit or whatever. So they go out and they recruit basically all the time, do programs at schools and things like that to interest new lifters. So it's a really great place. It's a really awesome place. I wish there were like 20 places like that in Australia, or hell, 20 of them in the U.S., but they're doing great things.
But yeah, then we drove down to the Gold Coast from there, which is, you said, Surfer's Paradise.
Surfer's Paradise. I knew that was going to be a nice place. Simon wasn't going to book us anywhere bad. And as it happened, anyone who's been to Surfers, we were right there on Cavill Avenue. We were Party Central. And yeah, I mean, it's night. We were there on a Sunday night, but it wasn't like it was a Sunday. It was busy out there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, so
big.
Do people go there for vacation a lot? That's like a pretty popular vacation spot.
I think so, yeah. I don't know if I'd take my family there if I was going to stay there. I don't know if I'd stay there, but, yeah, the Gold Coast is an interesting place.
It was pretty awesome, and we went into Gold Coast weightlifting, which Lindsay, what's his last name?
I'm not sure the pronunciation, but I think it's Beister.
Okay, yeah. So he was one of the attendees at the seminar. He's a real good lifter himself. He started out doing CrossFit, and
yeah, he was a very good CrossFit. I think he has competed at regionals. Whether it was as an individual or as a team, I'm not sure. But he was always, he's a good athlete.
He's a good athlete, good CrossFitter, and he started out at the Cougars weightlifting facility and then ended up opening his own gym on the Gold Coast. So we stopped by there. There's a lot of pictures on Facebook of me and Glenn there. It's a real nice place. So thanks to him for letting us train there.
And one thing I noticed about Lindsay, he always has a smile on his face. Even when he was missing a new PR 2 or 3 times, he's constantly smiling. And that's just obviously unusual, but he's just a absolute super nice guy for sure.
So I got a good workout in there. Started out with jerks, and I was missing 180 a bunch of times before I made it. Finally made it and ended out took like 2 kilo jumps, 82, 84, 85, 87. Ended out, I guess I missed 87 on my last one, but I got up to 85 at least.
That's not doing like 3 or 4 attempts over 80. Pretty good for you.
Yeah, I was happy with it. You know, I've jerked 200 before, but, after nationals, I haven't done jerks by themselves. So getting my, jerk weight back up. So hopefully at these last few seminars, I'll put up some big weights. But, and then in the snatch, man, I had one of those days where the weightlifting guys were making me work for it. I probably missed 140 how many times, Glenn?
I would estimate 15, but that might be a little high. But it was funny how, you the first like 4 or 5, you just weren't pulling it high enough. I mean, the pull just wasn't there. And then you got a number of misses down and all of a sudden started pulling it higher, pulling it to a place you could catch it. But then it took you a few before you actually caught it, balanced, and stood up. So it was a kind of a funny workout. But, the good thing is, with Travis is kind of, I guess, a little bit unique. And even when he misses, he pulls hard and goes through a good solid pull and goes under the bar. So, and a lot of people don't do that. Once they miss a weight a few times or, they start doing something crazy, either pulling it really weird or incorrectly or, aborting the pull early. Travis can miss a weight 10, 15 times and make a good attempt on the pull and a good attempt going under every time. So it's almost like he's just done, 15 good snatches. So I don't think the missing a lot really hurts him like it does some people.
Well, they were asking me how many times are you going to miss and keep going on the jerk and the snatch. And I said until I tire gravity out enough to make it, I guess. I just got to keep, have more stamina than gravity. But
yeah, I think people were starting to lose interest by the time it was at the 15th, 16th.
Whoa!
Hey, I made that shit though. No, I was just there to get in a good workout, but finally made 140 and got in some good squats. So it was a nice workout, and then we drove back that infamous 12-hour drive, 10-hour drive. But we're back in Gosford now.
Yeah, I didn't really participate in that workout too much because I was sick as a dog. I have no explanation really why. Like the night before, while we were eating the night before, I just kind of started getting a headache. And then, by morning it was, persisted all night. I slept very little. And by morning I was, feeling really, really crappy. Ended up throwing up a couple times. Once during the car ride over there, I jumped out of the car in the intersection and went and threw up on the sidewalk. So when we got there, I was feeling that was actually a horrendous, terrible workout, for me being there because I was in pretty much agony while we were there. But, after I'd slept a couple hours in the car on the drive back, it kind of slowly subsided and I felt decent again. I mean, I wouldn't say I feel 100% today, but definitely pretty good, especially in comparison. So I really don't know why that happened. I don't think it was food poisoning. I don't think I had a virus or something stupid like that because it's pretty much gone today, but something didn't agree with me and, I felt pretty crappy I'm glad it wasn't like the day of a seminar or something. So I felt pretty crappy, but I'm fine now, and I'm sure I'll continue to be okay. Wasn't a good experience, though.
You missed out on the walk along the beach.
I did lose out on the romantic long walk on the beach that you and Travis experienced. I'm a little upset by that, but, it is what it is.
Well, screw you. So yeah, we're going to get back to training here in a few minutes. we don't have another seminar till Thursday, and it's a level 2, so I'm not going to be maxing out that seminar. So finally have a regular week of training. So what's up, James? You've been just sitting over there.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited to get back into training. I mean, it's good squatting often now. It's good.
So we finally got you squatting. You started out 130 for 3x5. You said that you were embarrassed. So you've been working real hard. You've already increased your 3x5 up to 140.
Yeah. So I did 3 sets of 5 at 140 on Friday, and my 1 RM back squat is 150.
I would say that no, your 1RM is not still 150.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
We're trying to get these guys down here stronger. We finally got them believing in squats.
So are you going to do 145 today for 3 sets of 5?
I'll definitely try.
Okay, there you go. That's the attitude. James also told me or asked me earlier today about competing. And he said something like, yeah, I think maybe in another year or so I'll be ready to start thinking about doing a meet. And so I said, I told him he needed to sign up for a meet immediately and told Ben to start docking his pay if he didn't get his name signed up for a meet within the next month or two. So I think we have to look forward to James competing for the first time very soon.
Yeah.
Right, James?
Yes. Absolutely. It should be good. I'm keen to start taking my weightlifting more seriously.
Keen?
Keen means eager or excited.
Okay.
For those of you back in America.
Thank you.
Yeah, so let's see, did you have any questions about what to expect in your first competition particularly? Or?
Well, yeah, when I asked Glenn about, meets, I didn't really have an idea of because in CrossFit competitions you have heats according to skill level. I wasn't really sure if that was the same in Olympic weightlifting meets, or I think I used the word, was there an idiot heat? I think it was what I said.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
And I said the idiot heat would be you if you were first lifter. But,
yeah.
Weightlifting meets don't really have that. I mean, there's very rarely a weightlifting meet that says, like, if you total over a certain amount, you can't compete or something just for beginners. Although some competitions are geared towards beginners, but they're not going to be exclusive, And you just have to get out there and compete. And when you're a beginner, you know that you're probably not. It really doesn't even matter if you win, because you know that there's a bunch of guys that even if they don't compete, if they did compete, they'd beat you. So getting a medal or placing in the top 3 or winning is not really a big concern, because you know that that's only determined by who else enters. Yeah. If nobody good enters, you may win. If somebody that's been lifting for 5 years enters, you're probably not going to win. So, it's really just by chance what place you get. You're doing it just for development as a lifter, not necessarily for a medal.
But no matter what, even if you are the first one on the platform in your session or the entire meet, like, there's no shame in competing. You got to compete to get better, and you got to get that motivation and see, that at least gives you motivation. Like, hey, I was the first one to step out on the platform this time. Next time, I don't want to be the first one. You just slowly work your way up. Just
your total. Everything's kind of very not set in stone before you have your first total. No matter what that first total is. I mean, if you total 200 kilos, which I assume you'll probably total more than that. If you total 180 kilos, it doesn't matter. Now you have a competition PR, and you can enter another meet in 2 or 3 months and attempt to beat that. Almost for sure beat that. And once you get yourself in the cycle of entering meets, whether it's every 2 months or every 6 months or whatever, and you have another meet coming up, and you know when it is, and you have a date that you're going to have to step on the platform and compete. And that's such a huge motivation in training. I mean, that's the thing that keeps you squatting 3 days a week and pushing the weight up instead of, missing a day because you have university, or, missing a day because you're busy or something like that. It's really what drives progress. Until you get in that cycle of competing, it's a lot tougher to stay consistent with your training and really push that extra 5% effort, that's going to drive you to consistently progress.
Yeah, you gotta have something to train for. You can't just be training aimlessly. It's boring and monotonous without an end goal. And
competing is part of the sport. No one would go train for, say, rugby 5 days a week and do all the running and then this and that, but never play a rugby game.
Yeah.
If you didn't know you were going to play in a game, what the hell is the use of going out there and practicing all the time? You know, you got to have a game to play, and in weightlifting, that's a weightlifting competition.
And the best thing to do is to compete against yourself, your past totals, and stuff like that. Because even if you are the first one on the platform, you can always, if you beat the total that you did the last meet, then that's a win. And that's the great thing about weightlifting is it's easy to measure your progress, or if you've gotten worse, you know. So it's easy to see and measure what you've been up to. You got any other questions about weightlifting?
Or funny stories. Funny stories also work.
All funny stories. Not really. I mean, I'm learning a lot. Just training with you guys at the moment. I'm looking forward to the level 2 seminar on Thursday. Actually, that should be good.
You're going to be there then?
Yeah, I'm attending it.
I didn't know
I'll
that.
be an attendee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Can we use you for a demo and all the
What not to do?
What not to do things?
Yeah.
I do that with Travis sometimes. He does something right, and I'm talking about common errors, and I'm like, okay, Travis, do it wrong,
Yeah.
and he can't do it. So if we have that come up with the one on Thursday, then I'll be sure to pick you out.
Yeah, you just pick it.
Okay.
So Ben over here, he's just got back. He's just got off the phone taking some more orders.
Taking care of business.
Obviously, good news. You got any questions about weightlifting while we're still going?
Well, I got one. I think James is experiencing it, and I definitely experience it as well. Is it just something you just got to get over when you're bringing that bar into the hip and you're making contact, and I think James is actually unable to snatch today because of the bruise across his groin. I don't know if is that something you've just got to grit your teeth and that will go away, or is it?
That's a good question.
So when you snatch, do you hit your pubic bone, James?
Yes, and it's bad.
Okay, well, the first thing I would say is you might want to widen your grip slightly because you want to hit above the pubic bone, because if you're hitting the pubic bone, that really freaking hurts.
Yeah, and you will get a bruise, and then once you have a bruise, it's very tender, and you'll re-aggravate it every time you snatch. But, you know, the pubic bone is just a very small target. You know, it's easy to hit right below it or preferably right above it. And if you hit right above it, you know, you're not going to bruise as well. But in a general sense, other than just striking directly on the pubic bone, almost everybody goes through a point when they first learn to snatch well of hitting something and bruising to some degree, at least. Maybe not everybody. Everybody has the, you know, orange and purple bruises right on top of their pubic bone that I think you probably have, but everybody bruises to some degree, and to an extent, other than, you know, avoiding contacting on the actual top of the bone, it is something you just get over. I mean, you kind of toughen up, the bruises go away, and at some point you can't feel it. I mean,
usually when you're doing it right, you're not going to be hitting that spot. Either widen your grip a little bit or stay more patient. If you're bringing your hips into the bar and coming through too early, you're more likely to hit your pubic bone and be bruised. So you got to bring the bar into the hips, not the hips to the bar.
Yeah, and the thing is, when people are just learning, they are going to hit their pubic bone at least once in a while because you're usually pretty inconsistent with where you actually touch the bar with your hip. It'll be up one, down the other, you know, and all over the place. And, you know, you just got to kind of dial it in over a number of workouts, to hit on the same place every time and to have that not be directly on top of the pubic bone.
And for like 90% of people, I'd say they only make contact in the snatch at one point, and it should be the same point every time above the pubic bone, preferably. And you'll get used to it, but the bar definitely does make contact with the hips, so make sure that happens.
Yeah, a million other lifters figure a way to do it without debilitating themselves, so I'm sure you can too.
Yeah. Speaking of...
It might take you a little longer.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Speaking of where the bar's hitting, and I know a couple of the guys in the gym will thank me for asking this question, is when they're doing their clean, they find that they are hitting the bar really low on their thighs, sometimes mid-thigh or even lower. And they always ask me, what would your recommendation, you know, for fixing that thing?
I think a big thing is just be more patient. You know, as people are pulling hard, they're just very impatient. to make that transition to like the final extension and extending their legs. You just have to be patient. That's harder than it sounds, but I think that's a big part of it.
And I mean, some people have the idea that you're supposed to make contact at the same spot as a snatch. Some people might be able to, and that's a good thing. But if your arms are longer, you're going to bump a little lower. So, just let the arms hang down, and wherever the bar brushes is where it brushes. So, you guys got anything else, or?
No, we just, how much longer, Tuesday, we got just under 2 weeks left in Australia.
Yeah, we got 2 weeks left here. We got a seminar,
weekends.
a level 2 seminar at Ben's Gym, CrossFit Gosford. It's connected to the Muscle Driver facility. And you guys have free shipping on the Econ bumpers
For the next couple of hours.
for the next couple of
We're
hours.
running a
So,
promotion.
if you get this up and you're in Australia, you want to order some bumper plates. It's a good way to get some cheaper bumper plates with free shipping. So, anyways, you guys got anything else?
I do not. Ben does not, I don't think.
I'm gonna really think about. We'll do one more before you guys leave. I'm gonna really sit down and come up with something that's gonna be a groundbreaking topic for you guys to discuss next time. It's gonna be huge.
It's going to be unreal.
Something to look forward to.
Well, yeah, we were just having some fun earlier, so don't get offended. We weren't making fun of Australia. We were just having some fun, letting Glenn be his grumpy self for a second. And tweet us at WLiftingScoop. With anything, if you're from Australia or the U.S. and you have something that you've heard that's different, let us know. We'll try to do a couple more of those next week. And we're going to squat.